Hi, and welcome to your Urban Connection. Now, I have a very interesting story tonight, and I want to talk to you all about the situation involving the Kansas governor, the Kansas Board of Parole Board, and a now deceased Kansas State Patrol officer. And I want you to stay tuned because this is very interesting. But before I do that, I want to remind you all about the sponsor for tonight's show. And that is one that more and more people are finding out about each and every day. And that is the Barbecue Express. And I want to show you, they're located at 6249 East 21st Street. 6249 East 21st. There's the location right there. Now, their motto is you don't have to have teeth to eat our beef. And they're open Monday through Thursday, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m., and Friday and Saturday, 11 a.m. until 8 p.m. Now, this is a full service sit down restaurant. It's not a carryout, it's a full service restaurant. And they have a full menu of barbecue items. And those would include, of course, ribs, brisket, hot links, and even smoked turkey legs. Okay, they have all of that. Now, they have right now a special on which gives you rib tips plus French fries for $11.99. And it's a nice size portion that they give you. Now, they also have a 3-meat sandwich, which consists of brisket, bologna, and a hot link. That's 3 meats on one sandwich. And their telephone number is 316 685, 358 9990. Again, that's 358 9990. And they're located again at 6249 East 21st Street. That's just west of Woodlawn in the old Cajun Shack location. Go in and pay them a visit and tell them I sent you. Okay, now let's get back to the story, ladies and gentlemen. And I want to tell you that this story originated in 1978. And I want to give you a little background here so you'll know what we're talking about here, because I think you're going to find this very interesting. A man that was convicted of killing a Kansas Highway Patrol trooper in 1978 has been granted a parole after having past requests for parole rejected, which inspired criticism and prompting the governor to call for reconsidering the decision. Now, here's the important factor here. The governor has no control over the parole board, okay? Formerly, in prior years, the governor was the one that appointed parole board members, but that all changed a few years ago. And so the governor basically is meddling, that's what she's doing, in some places she has no business sticking her nose. Now, let me just give you this story here. Jimmy Helms and another man, both from Tulsa, Oklahoma, were sentenced to serve 2 life sentences for the aggravated kidnapping and murder of Trooper Conroy O'Brien following a traffic stop on the Kansas Turnpike about 55 miles northeast of Wichita. Now, Combs's co-defendant, Walter Myrick, died in prison in 2009. Now, here's the kicker. In Kansas, killing a law enforcement officer now can be punished by death. Now, however, in 1978, Kansas law had no death penalty, and Nelms was eligible for parole after 30 years in 2008. In 2011 and 2021, he applied for and sought parole, and he was denied both times. Now, a date for Nelm's release has not been set, but his parole appeal and his parole has been granted. It wasn't denied, it was granted early this year in 2025 in March. And it was approved by the Prison Review Board. And this board is comprised of 3 veteran State Department of Corrections employees appointed by its top administrator. Department spokesman David Thompson said the decision came several weeks after a March 6th hearing. Now, here's the kicker. I want to show you this to you and let you understand exactly what we're dealing with here. I'm going to show you a picture of the, I want to show you this is the patrol trooper that was shot and killed, okay? This was 1978. Now, I want to show you also the gentleman that was convicted of the killing. And I want you to see him, and then we'll move on, and I'll talk a little bit more about the governor. And this is Jimmy Helms right here. Jimmy Helms is the man that served not only 30 years, remember he was eligible for parole after 30 years due to the 1978 law under which he was sentenced under. He served 49 years, close to 50 years before he was approved for parole. And let me tell you what happened. So Laura Kelly, basically, when I say she's meddling, that's exactly what she's doing because she has no jurisdiction over this parole board. The Kansas Prisoner Review Board believes that Mr. Nelms, that's this gentleman right here, is able and willing to fulfill the obligations of a law-abiding citizen and is of the opinion that there is a reasonable probability that Mr. Nelms can be released without detriment to the community or to himself. That was said by the administrator of the Kansas State Prisons, Mr. Thompson. Okay, now, folks, these people deal with these prisoners on a daily basis. Who's in a better situation to tell and determine how this gentleman would act or conduct himself if they were to parole him? Would that be Laura Trump? I mean Laura Kelly, or would that be the parole board? In my estimation, that decision would be totally in the hands of the parole board, who's been dealing with Mr. Nelms on a daily basis ever since 1978. Not Laura Trump, Laura Kelly. Okay? So she's meddling. She has nothing to do with this. And I can tell you right now, I don't see this decision being reversed. You cannot grant somebody a parole and then turn around and reverse it without some type of further new evidence that has come to light or something of that nature, in which Laura Kelly has not presented any of. So she doesn't have any jurisdiction here. And I don't think for one moment that they would reconsider their own decision. Like I said, they've dealt with this man on a daily basis. They know what he's capable of, and they know how he's conducted himself under their watch since 1978. Like I said, almost 50 years, okay? So, it's ridiculous. And now, not only that, ladies and gentlemen, I want to show you something else. You know, what really gets me is that Laura Kelly is sticking her nose where it doesn't belong, but I want to ask you a question. Where was Laura Kelly back several years ago when a Kansas superintendent of the Highway Patrol was appointed by Laura Kelly, and then was involved in a lawsuit in which he was cleared of, and yet Laura Kelly refused to stand behind him. Okay? And that was a man by the name of Herman Jones. Where was Laura Kelly at that time? Why didn't she stand behind him? And I gotta see if I can find that picture. I had it, and I seem to have lost it. And let me just check here. Okay, Mr. Jones. Okay, here he is right here. Sherman Jones. This guy was Laura Kelly's superintendent of the Highway Patrol in the state of Kansas that she appointed. And yet, she didn't stand behind him. She refused to stand behind him. Okay? She, even after this man was cleared of a sexual harassment charge by a couple of female officers in the Department of the Highway Patrol, rather than her standing by her man, she threw him under the bus and forced him out. So, Laura Kelly, you are the last person that should be asking for someone to reconsider a decision to parole somebody that they've had full custody of and daily care of for 50 years, ma'am. You're the last person. But let me just tell you, Laura Kelly, you know, I've been watching you for a long time, and I've been trying to tell the African American community that you, ma'am, have a lot to atone for, and you have several reversals that you should be conducting yourself. And let me give you a couple of them. Number one, you should reverse the decision for making a political appointment to the Kansas African American Affairs Commission. When you violated the state statute and made a political appointment without the approval of the Kansas African American Affairs Commission members, which is clearly stated by state statute that those decisions are to be made by the members, not the governor. You didn't even advertise the program, ma'am. You didn't conduct any interviews. You didn't even seek out one single resume before you appointed an unqualified person to be the executive director for what is and was the worst African American Affairs Commission in the country and still is today. You want to reverse something, ma'am? Reverse the decision that you have encouraged by this ineffective, do-nothing African American Affairs Commission by violating the entire state statute 74-9905, ma'am. Why don't you reverse that? If you want to meddle, that is someone that is under your control, someone that's under your authority. It's a 7-member board, supposed to be nonpartisan, consists of a mixture of Republican members as well as Democrat members. But yet, you take a hands-off position with them. You reduce the salary for a commission that is already underfunded, understaffed, and underperforming. And yet you sit by and do nothing. Could it be, ma'am, because of the fact that it was designed to serve the needs of the African American community? Is why you refused to advocate for 74-9905? Is that the reason why you refused to bring the board into compliance with the state statute Governor Trump, Governor Kelly, is that it? You see, ma'am, I've said all along, I've been watching you. And time goes back to when you were a senator, long before you were a governor, ma'am. And you have a pattern. Then you had a pattern that you continue to have today. And that pattern is that you have no need for the African American community outside of campaign season. That's right. Every campaign season, ma'am, you make your appearance in the African American communities throughout the state of Kansas. You make continued appearances in African American churches to beg, pander, and seek out the African American vote. You seek to make friends with certain people you consider leaders in the African American community in hopes that they will hustle, and I'm going to use that word, hustle, Black votes for you. And then once you get those votes, they don't see nor hear from you until 4 years later, ma'am. That's a pattern that you have. So if you're looking to reverse something, ma'am, and you're looking to meddle something, there's where you should start. Convince me, convince the African American communities throughout the state that you want more from them than just a vote. Because thus far, you've fallen far short, ma'am. Okay? Do what you're supposed to do from a legal standpoint. Follow the statute, ma'am. And then, maybe, just maybe, you might have a little bit of wiggle room to meddle in something that you basically have no authority of. And I'm sure that if you would do that, I would appreciate it. The African American communities throughout the state would appreciate it. And you, ma'am, would look better doing something positive for a change toward the African American community as opposed to the path you're on today and have been on ever since you were a state senator. Governor Trump, Governor Kelly. Okay? All right, folks, that's my show for today. And remember, whatever you do, go see the sponsors. BBB Barbecue, 6249 East 21st Street. Okay? We'll see you next time.